A Super Sunday edition of the FOX6 Sports Blitz as the NFL season is now over. Whatever will we talk about? Actually, plenty. Brandon Cruz is here. Lily's out here. I'm Tim Van Born. We're glad you're here. And here's our starting lineup. There is no deadline deal for Giannis Antetokounmpo. So is he bound to the Bucks long term? Stable at the top, but a fair amount of change down below. The team does reboot the roster for the second half of the NBA season. Brian Gutekunst makes us say what and reiterates that special is as special does. And, of course, we have a brand-new high school hotshot, a guy who shatters an old-school record.
I don't think I ever wavered what was going to happen. It bothered me because the talk was almost like people were trying to manifest him out of, Milwaukee. So, but I'm glad that it's over.
Giannis Antetokounmpo still on the Bucks roster as this weekend's and at the Super Bowl tonight, so not a bad way to spend things. Quick, before we get into too much actual detail about it, just your emotions. Surprised, not surprised, happy?
I mean, I'm happy for the Bucks. I'm happy for the Bucks fans. I'm happy for Milwaukee. He's done so much here, brought a championship. He's done so much in the community. He brings that smile. He plays 100% every time he's on the floor. And it still gives this team and this fan base hope that there might be a championship on the other side if he stays past this season. That is still the big question. Do they trade him in the offseason? But for now, he will be here through April, and he says he wants to get back on the court to try to make a playoff run. We'll see if they actually have that in them. But overall, I think it's something that makes everybody around the Bucks happy that he's here.
Did you think this is where we'd be tonight?
I think so. I think if the Bucks were to trade Giannis, I thought it was going to be in the offseason, if anything. But I think right now, the fact that he's in Milwaukee, the fact that he's made the comments he made this past week about wanting to retire as a Milwaukee Buck, about wanting to stay in town as long as they could win, just reiterating that, the social media post, which we'll talk about, doesn't shock me that he's still here. But again, from what we're hearing from him, it sounds like he does want to be here past the offseason. Again, we'll see if the necessary moves are made to keep him here past that.
I think Brandon's question about does he come back and play is a legitimate one. But you mentioned social media, and on this particular panel, you're the person to go to for social media. Giannis was active there again this week.
He was, yeah. And again, Giannis sending kind of a statement, breaking his silence, went on social media on his platforms and put out the post that you see right here, Legends Don't Chase, They Attract. That's a clip from the movie The Wolf of Wall Street. Leonardo DiCaprio's character making a famous speech saying, "I'm not leaving," so interpret that for what you will, but it comes right after the trade deadline. Bobby Portis also spoke that Giannis did text him, and they kind of had an exchange. It was $100 and $100, and so Bobby said, okay, understood. But to this post, though, Doc Rivers said it was, quote, unifying for the team. So that's something that they wanted to hear, and that's what Giannis gave him.
Giannis is working his way back, has been on the court with pregame rehab sessions, and obviously out of our eyes he's been doing an awful lot as well. What does that all mean, and should it mean that he plays again the remainder of the season for the Bucks?
Well, it means that he doesn't believe in quitting, and he's trying to get that message to the guys around him that are still on this team and trying to move forward with the thing of not giving up on what's in front of them. If they can move into at least the 10th spot in the Eastern Conference, that means they make the play-in tournament to try to get into the playoff tournament. So if they can do that, you never know. But that, to me, is what this is. It's a bigger message about you don't quit. Effort is always here, and it's the most important thing to him. He doesn't want to sit and watch basketball.
Can John Horst and Bucks ownership force him to sit? How do you think that dynamic would play?
I don't know if they have that. I think if he tries to do that, I think that's when you see a move possibly happening in the offseason, because Giannis is not going to let somebody tell him when he's healthy that he can't go. And I think that would be something that he would look at, because we see he doesn't know how to slow down. When he's the go, he's all in. And so I think it's the same thing with the way he feels. If he's healthy, he wants to be on the court, contributing, being a part of this.
If you're trying to trade him, you don't want him to be damaged in any way, though. So obviously there are a lot of issues here for these gentlemen to discuss. The Bucks do make some moves further down their roster. You take your pick. couple of the guys they brought in, a couple of guys. Who do you want to talk about, Lily?
We can talk about the guy today. That's the most recent news. We'll start with Cam Thomas, guy waived from the Brooklyn Nets, a young player as well, and a guy that really can put up a lot of points. Again, if given the chance, has a very high shot volume and, does like to have the ball in his hands. So I'm kind of curious, though, when he does make the lineup and he gets some playing time, how that works with Ryan Rollins and Kevin Porter Jr. in terms of the playing time. But you have Cam Thomas, a known proven scorer. That is a guy that hopefully can energize Milwaukee. So that's the latest move today.
And you're thinking to yourself, he's a good player. He's a career 15-point average, but he's released in February. That's a head scratcher?
Yeah, I think so.
By Brooklyn, but
right.
the Bucks got
and you just kind of wonder, okay, what's the deal there? Is this a guy that didn't like what was going on in Brooklyn and say, get me out of here, and he wasn't traded? So they honored him by just releasing him. That's the thing that'll be curious to get the answers to if and or when he speaks or the Bucks talk about the move in public. We'll see. But, I think what you want to see is, again, we're talking about effort with Giannis. They're going to want effort from a guy that they bring in, so he will have to come out and prove that, I think.
Really a no-risk acquisition for the Bucks, so why not try that? And the Amir Coffey and Cole Anthony eras are over in Milwaukee. We're switching to another Milwaukee sports team. That would be the Milwaukee Brewers. They are not far away from spring training, which means Brandon Cruz not far away from some sunshine in AZ. Sorry about that.
I know. It's been difficult. Yeah.
Who are you looking forward to seeing most out there?
Honestly, I want to see Brandon Woodruff. I want to see how healthy he is. Remember, he was a guy that had a really nice comeback in 2025, but was unable to go in the postseason once again. And I like what he brings to this team, and he is a big leader on this team. The one thing that we saw with him, even when he was injured, he was with the guys. He was part of it. He didn't step away. He did everything he could to stay connected with this group. And now without Freddie Peralta, I think he's got a lot on his shoulders, and I think he wants to be able to prove that he is the guy again.
Let's talk about some more pitching, Lily. This is the best team in baseball last year coming back. We're not just talking baseball. We're talking about high expectations coming off last season. And Jacob Misiorowski, talk about high expectations and hype. What are we in for? A sophomore slump, building on last year. He's an all-star. What are we going to get?
I'm hoping the latter. I think he does too, right? He really kind of broke onto the scene, the all-star appearance, and then went from starting to kind of coming out and helping the team in relief. But again, I think he can build off his performance in the postseason. I think he pitched a really, really good game and helped the Brewers get as far as they did. But he was a big component of them getting a franchise record 97 wins. So I think this is a big prove-it year for Jacob Misiorowski to say, can I stay in the starting lineup? Can I be that second or third guy that they really rely on behind Brandon Woodruff? And so I think, hopefully there is no sophomore slump. Chris Hook and company do a great job helping out their pitchers, but he has to know that it's going to be a really strong starting rotation, so where he fits in that will be key, and hopefully, his stuff just keeps on working this fall.
He's one of the young right-handers in the rotation. Quinn Priester would be another.
He had a great season for the Brewers, maybe besides Freddie Peralta, the most consistent pitcher they had, and he delivered every time out. He set a record for consecutive wins, and he was able to just show that even though he's so young, once he got the opportunity when he came over here from Boston, that he owned that spot. He owned that spot in the rotation. He was a guy that everybody could count on, and they knew that he would be able to deliver. And the one thing that what I liked with him is watching him mature so quickly throughout the season. He came in kind of wide-eyed, and then by the end of the season, he just seemed to feel as calm as anybody who'd been here 5-10 years. And it was really exciting to watch him grow like that. And I really think he's going to be able to take that next step this season because of all the success he had behind him. Plus, he got married in the offseason.
And he's a prideful guy, and it didn't go very well in the postseason. That as much success as he had in the regular season, that's a motivator to come back out. We've talked about these various pitchers, Lily. They're all throwing to one guy, William Contreras. Was he got 162 games back there?
Yeah. He's going to be another key guy, and we know what he can do, a proven veteran, and one that is coming off just a year where he's fighting injuries with that finger. And congratulations to him as well, getting engaged this offseason to Willie Adonis' sister. So big offseason for William Contreras, and a guy that this team really will have to rely on, especially when you're trying to figure out who the starting rotation will be. But you like the fact that he kind of got his home run pop going later in the year in terms of being a hitter, but what he can do behind the plate has just been phenomenal for this team.
And you mentioned health. That's the number one thing to watch with Contreras. And who better to watch it than Brandon Cruz in Arizona? We have reports coming up from Arizona starting next Sunday night and then all next week. That should be fun. Again, we appreciate you accepting the short straw on that.
Somebody has to, and I'll wear that badge with honor.
Very good. That's awesome. Coming up around the corner, we have more tonight on the Fox 6 Sports Blitz. Before we go, though, Con Knippel's rookie season in the NBA keeps getting better. The Milwaukee area native and Hornets forward, the only rookie invited to take part in the NBA All-Star three-point contest on All-Star Saturday. He's third in the NBA in three-pointers made. Bucks forward Bobby Portis is also in that field. Former Buck Damian Lillard is also in that field. The 2026 Milan Cortina Winter Olympics are underway. The Badger State well represented. Over a dozen athletes with Wisconsin ties are in Milan, Italy, including speed skating phenom Kawaskum's Jordan Stolz, Whitefish Bay native, and Panthers general manager Bill Zito. We're talking hockey here, is the assistant GM for the U.S. Olympic men's hockey team. He's had an awful lot of success professionally. I'm sure he'd like to add to that internationally at the Olympics. So very cool. Certainly watching the pursuits of those gentlemen over there, and ladies as well. We're coming right back down to Fox 6 Sports Blitz.
I'm going to have a new boss? Well, you're just going to have to wait and see. What time is it? I don't even know what the question is anymore. Maybe in the new building we'll get these fixed while there's...
We're not going to move in together. I mean, you know, we work pretty close together. I mean, it was the daily conversations, and I mean, so I think that would almost be really hard. But yeah, I mean, you know, I think anytime you've been together 7 years and you continue, you know, you almost feel part of each other at sometimes.
Brian Gutekunst making say what? That's kind of a rare thing, as he's very serious normally, very straight to the point, but a little levity after this week.
And doesn't talk publicly all that offered either.
No.
So we have kind of a limited sample supply.
And it was a big deal that he did talk this week. We hadn't heard from them after the Bears lost, really, or where they were going, what the thoughts are with the Packers moving forward into 2026. But now he has. What did you take away from your time with him this week when he actually did kind of open up a bit?
That he believes they have the right people in place. That's obviously at the top. He's the general manager. Matt LaFleur is the head coach. Russ Ball is going to handle the financial side of things. That's no surprise. He definitely believes they have the right direction going there, that injuries affected last season, but that they have to close football games. I thought very definitively he said, you know, we cannot keep coming up short. We're in this position to win these football games. They didn't win after Denver. That was the game they lost. 5 in a row to end the season. The year before was 3 in a row to end the season. That's not acceptable long term, and I think he reiterated that.
What do you think about his connection with Matt LaFleur? You just talked about it there. I mean, how big of a deal is that for them to be together again after these 7 years and no Super Bowls?
Yeah, well, I think it's a big deal. Again, the comfortability with the two fellas, 7-8 years together, that is a long time. You have a good working relationship and a good just rapport between general manager and head coach, and that's very important for for a football team. But I think at the end of the day, when you have the two very important people at the top of your organization who work well together and get each other, that's key. And now it's about, can Brian Gutekunst get Matt LaFleur some good players during the draft or through free agency to help them get to that Super Bowl route?
Matt LaFleur wasn't the only person he was loyal to when he was talking this week. Rich Bisaccia. I think some people are surprised, maybe upset that he's still considered the special teams coordinator. What are your thoughts with the way he defended what he does?
Well, Bisaccia is really Matt LaFleur's decision. He's on the coaching staff. Undoubtedly, there were discussions about who's going to make up the coaching staff involving Brian Gutekunst and maybe even as high as Ed Policy in those discussions. But it is Matt LaFleur who has control over who's on that coaching staff, and Rich Bisaccia, by all appearances, will be back to coach the special teams.
Defensively, Jonathan Gannon now is officially the defensive coordinator, Lily, coming over after being the head coach in Arizona. How does he feel Hafley's departure, and how does he move this defense forward?
That's a good question. I feel like, Packers fans watching the Super Bowl tonight, they said, hey, Jonathan Gannon, if you can get our defense to look like Seattle's, this will be great. We'll build you some statues outside of Lambeau Field. But Jonathan Gannon's not really kind of sure if he's going to have a 4-3 or 3-4 scheme just yet. I think he's going to evaluate the players on his defense to kind of see the route he will go. But again, that's the beauty of having a guy like Jonathan Gannon, his ability to adapt defensively. But I think when you have the amount of bodies coming back, and Micah Parsons, Devontae White, and whoever they all do acquire in the offseason, he has a good base to get this defense back on track, and kind of curious to see what that scheme will look like again once he gets everything going.
And it sounded like Rashawn Gary is probably coming back. Is that the vibe you got when they were talking this week?
If we're talking about sanity, no. No. I mean, he's under contract. I think Brian Gutekunst's line was, I expect guys who are under contract to come back. It would be an upset to me if Rashawn Gary's back.
Okay, well then that's a surprise. What about the cornerback position? Because that didn't fare well in the way things went this season. Do they change things up there?
I would say they need to. Brian Gutekunst's very complimentary of his cornerbacks group. Keyshawn Nixon, Carrington Valentine, Nate Hobbs, who was injured. Very complimentary, but I think you have to shake up that room if this team wants to make a deep postseason push.
All right, finally, Tim, do you see a lot of change to the roster when you look at camp starting next July?
They don't have a lot of financial wiggle room, so I don't think major changes. You don't have a first-round draft choice. They're going to go with the traditional Packer internal development type philosophy. Guys who were rookies and played a little bit this year, they're going to want to play more next year.
All right, we'll see if they can celebrate like the Seahawks did in L.A. next season. Well, former Packer executive John Schneider is once again a Super Bowl champion. The Seahawks general manager and De Pere native helped rebuild Seattle's roster into another Super Bowl winner. That's their second Lombardi trophy, and they are both under his building as he created both teams. They win this one by a score of 29-13. We'll be right back with tonight's High School Hot Shot. Stay with us.
Welcome back. He's played a part in 2 state tournament runs to Madison, and along the way, the senior broke a record that was almost 6 decades old. And that's why he's this week's Fox 6 High School Hot Shot.
Hi, I'm Rashad Davis, senior guard on the Nicollet boys basketball team. I started playing basketball around 4 to 5 years old, but didn't really start playing on the team till about 3rd grade. Favorite memory was making it to the state tournament. Like, that's an accomplishment every basketball player want to have in their little resume. So just making that twice in 2 years was like pretty good. So me getting the scoring record, like the all-time scoring record, was a big accomplishment for me. It was surreal. I still to this day, I don't really feel like it was a real moment. I didn't know how long the record was. I just knew who held it. The record being 57 years old, I didn't know that it was that long ago. So that's older than my grandma. So that's a pretty long record. I like to draw a lot. Trying new things, trying new hobbies, and also just drawing. Drawing is like, it's peaceful. My favorite art piece was a thing called a pinch pot made from clay. Another drawing that like really stood out to me was one that showed someone like really looking sad. Like it was no lines though, it was just all like individual lines made into one line, and it formed a person like kind of crouching down. It was a time where my grandma had passed, so I was in a little bit of a sadder state than I normally am, so that was just a good way to express myself. Previously, I just started piano, and once I start something, I can't stop until I get at least good enough to play a song or good enough to do something very well. Piano is a hard thing to play, so continuing to do it over and over, it just made me better at it. Just learning new things and learning that life is always going to throw different things at you that you got to be prepared for. When people think of Nicollet, they're going to think of the top names. Just me thinking that I'll eventually be in that conversation, it's surreal. Like all of those big-time players, I'm just happy to be in the conversation with those players. I'm Rashad Davis, senior guard on Nicollet boys basketball team, who is now the current all-time leading scorer. And I'm this week's Fox 6 High School Hot Shot.
What a hot shot. Meanwhile, what a night it was for former Fox 6 High School hot shot in 2022 Wisconsin. Mr. Basketball Seth Trimble on Saturday. The Menominee Falls alum hits the game-winning 3 with less than a second left, leading North Carolina past Duke at the Dean Dome. Great shot. We'll be right back.
What a play by the freshman.
Looking ahead, the Brewers gearing up for spring training. Pitchers and catchers are getting to Maryvale. First workout is Thursday. Brandon Cruz heading to spring training. He has reports from Arizona all next week.
And the Bucs will try to win 4 in a row. They're going to double dip in Orlando starting tomorrow night, and then they wrap up against the Thunder before the All-Star break.
College hoops picking up again. The Badgers take on Illinois. Marquette then goes to Villanova. The Badgers also welcome in Michigan State. Big week for them. UW Milwaukee has UW Green Bay on Sunday, and the Admirals return from the AHL All-Star break with a pair of games in Rockford.
And happy Valentine's Day.
It's a big week.
See ya.